sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, Lions fans. I know this one still hurts, but we got to dive into that playoff loss against the Commanders.
Yep.
We're using that Jared Ramsey article from the Detroit Free Press, and we're going to unpack not just what happened, but, why those Lions with that amazing record-breaking season behind them couldn't get the win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. This wasn't just a loss. This was the NFC's #1 seed.
Right.
Home field advantage. Montgomery back from injury. I mean, everything was set for a Lions victory.
Everything. And
yet the final score, it tells a different story.
It really does. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right? We're going beyond just the highlights, trying to find those turning points, the hidden details that explain how this, unexpected outcome happened. Like, for example, did you see that LiAngelo Ball was at Ford Field?
Oh, yeah.
The rapper and basketball star rocking Lions gear?
I did see that.
Yeah.
That caught my eye, too. That's, it's interesting to see somebody with that level of pop culture, clout repping the Lions, Yeah. Maybe it's a sign that Detroit's cool factor is expanding beyond just music and cars.
I like that. Maybe the Lions are becoming a trend, a symbol of Detroit's resurgence.
Right.
But speaking of trends, there's one we just can't ignore in this game. Turnovers. It felt like every time the Lions got something going, boom, turnover.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just the number of turnovers, it was the timing of them.
Oh, yeah.
Those momentum swings, they were killers.
Yeah.
Like, remember Goff's first interception?
Oh, yeah.
That led to a Commander's field goal, and it just completely shifted the energy?
Oh, I remember. It felt like the air got sucked out of Ford Field.
Yeah.
And then in the second quarter, Goff throws another pick, this time a pick six. That was brutal.
Oof. It's painful to relive, but it highlights a crucial point. That pick six wasn't just a 7-point swing. It gave the Commanders instant momentum and a psychological edge.
Right. And it wasn't just Goff.
Right.
There was that trick play with Williams that backfired so badly, leading to another Commanders touchdown. It felt like the Lions were giving Washington opportunities on a silver platter.
They were. And that's the frustrating part. If you look at the stats, the Lions actually had comparable yardage to the Commanders.
Really?
Yeah, it was those turnovers that skewed the game.
Yeah.
They created this alternate reality where the better team on paper didn't win.
Okay, so turnover is clearly a problem, but let's break it down further.
Yeah.
Were these forced fumbles by the Commanders' defense, or were they bad decisions on Goff's part? Were there any patterns in those turnovers?
That's a great question. To really understand the impact, we need to look at the types of turnovers.
Okay.
Like, for example, Goff's first interception was a forced fumble after a sack.
Okay.
Well, the second one was a misread of the defense.
Uh-huh.
So 2 different scenarios.
Right.
But the same devastating outcome.
Right. And that fumble by Montgomery early in the game set a negative tone right from the start.
For sure.
I'm curious, is there a trend in the NFL of teams with strong turnover differentials winning, even if their other stats aren't as strong?
There absolutely is. Think of it this way. Turnovers are essentially giving your opponent extra possessions. Even if you're moving the ball well between those turnovers, you're limiting your scoring opportunities and handing your opponent easy chances.
So it's not just about racking up yards.
Right.
It's about protecting the ball and capitalizing on the opportunities you create.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the Lions did neither in this game.
Yeah, they didn't.
But what's interesting is,
What's that?
let's look at the Lions' defense for a moment.
Okay.
They had a crucial 4th down stop early in the game, preventing the Commanders from converting on 4th and short.
Huge.
That was a huge play.
Absolutely.
It felt like the defense was fired up and ready to dominate.
Right.
But then those turnovers started happening, and the defense seemed to lose its momentum.
Well, that's the cascading effect of turnovers.
Yeah.
Not only do they give the opponent extra possessions, they can also just deflate the energy of your own team, especially on the defensive side.
So it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
It hurts you offensively by giving the ball away.
Right.
And defensively by putting more pressure on your defense to make stops.
Precisely. It disrupts the flow of the game and creates a psychological disadvantage. And in this game, that disadvantage was compounded by some questionable coaching decisions.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that trick play with Jamison Williams in the third quarter.
Ooh, yeah.
It was a bold move attempting a reverse on 4th and short, but it backfired when Williams fumbled the ball.
Yep.
I remember groaning when I saw that play call.
Yeah.
I get that Coach Campbell likes to be aggressive.
Right.
But in a playoff game with the momentum already shifting against you, maybe a more conservative approach would have been wiser.
Yeah, it's easy to criticize in hindsight.
Right.
But it does raise a good point, about coaching decisions in these high-pressure situations.
Yeah.
Do you stick with what's worked in the regular season?
Mm.
Or do you take those risks to try and swing the momentum back in your favor?
And that's where experience and understanding the flow of the game come in.
Right.
It felt like the Commanders were reading the Lions' offense and anticipating those risky plays.
They definitely seem to have the Lions numbered defensively, especially in those key turnover situations. And Jayden Daniels deserves some credit, too.
Yeah.
He made some clutch throws for the Commanders, kept drives alive, and capitalized on those Lions' mistakes.
Yeah, Daniels played well, but I wouldn't say he outshined Goff statistically. Goff still threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It just feels like those turnovers completely overshadowed his performance.
Well, that's the narrative power of turnovers. They become the defining moments of the game, even if other aspects of the game were evenly matched.
Right.
It's a reminder that football is as much a mental game as it is a physical one.
Speaking of mental games, let's talk about the Lions' playoff history for a moment. It's not exactly a legacy of success. Do you think that past weighs on the team, especially in a high-stakes game like this?
That's a question that has haunted the Lions for years.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure, but there's definitely a psychological aspect to playoff performance.
Yeah.
The pressure is immense, and for a team that hasn't tasted much playoff success, that pressure can be crippling.
But you know what? Before this game, it felt different.
Yeah.
There was this buzz in the city, a genuine belief that this Lions team was different, that they could break the curse and make a deep playoff run.
I felt it too. The energy at Ford Field was electric.
Oh.
It's just heartbreaking that those turnovers just sucked the life out of the crowd and ultimately out of the team.
It really is, but even in this loss, there were individual players who shine.
Oh, for sure.
Jahmyr Gibbs was a beast, breaking tackles and making big plays all game long.
Gibbs is a bright spot, no doubt. His agility and speed were a constant threat to the Commanders' defense. And let's not forget Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end, who made some incredible catches.
Yeah.
Including that highlight reel grab of the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. Laporta was impressive. He's one to watch for the future, for sure.
Absolutely.
And even though Jameson Williams had that costly fumble, his speed and athleticism are undeniable. He could be a game changer for the Lions once he gets more experience.
Those individual performances are what give Lions fans hope for the future.
Right.
It shows that the talent is there, the potential is there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of putting it all together and eliminating those self-inflicted wounds.
Okay, so we've talked about the turnovers, the coaching decisions, the individual performances, and the weight of history. But ultimately, this game comes down to one key question. Why did the Lions, a team that was favored to win, lose this game?
The short answer is turnovers.
Yeah.
They were the deciding factor, the difference maker.
Yeah.
But the deeper answer lies in understanding the cascading effect of those turnovers, how they impacted the Lions mentally and emotionally,
Right.
how they gave the Commanders a psychological advantage, and how they ultimately skewed the narrative of the game.
You're right. It's about connecting those dots, seeing how one mistake can lead to another, how momentum can shift so quickly, and how even the most talented team can be their own worst enemy.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive.
Yeah.
It's not just about the final score. It's about understanding the nuances, the complexities, the human drama that unfolds within a game.
Exactly. And for Lions fans, it's about learning from these mistakes,
Yeah.
recognizing the areas for improvement, and holding on to that sliver of hope that this team can learn, grow, and come back stronger next season.
Well said. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what being a fan is all about?
It's funny, even though we've been talking about, reliving a loss,
Yeah.
I don't feel completely deflated. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like this deep dive has actually helped me process the disappointment
Right.
and see the bigger picture.
I think that's the power of analysis.
Yeah.
When we break down a game like this, we can really appreciate the complexity, the skill, the human element, even in defeat.
And for Lions fans, it's a chance to move beyond just those what ifs.
Right.
And focus on, what can be learned from this experience.
Exactly. And that brings us to a thought-provoking question for you, dear listener. If you were Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, what would you do to fix this turnover issue?
Oh.
Is it about personnel changes, stricter practice drills, different play calling strategies?
Wow. That's a tough one. It's like you're asking me to step into the coach's shoes
Yeah.
and come up with a game plan. I'm going to need some time to ponder that one.
Right.
But it's a great question to consider Because it forces us to think critically and creatively about the challenges facing this team.
And that's what makes sports so captivating.
Yeah.
It's not just about wins and losses. It's about the ongoing conversation, the analysis, the search for solutions, the shared passion among fans.
So to sum up this deep dive,
Yeah.
the Lions had a record-breaking season. They earned home field advantage. They had their star running back from injury. But those turnovers, those darn turnovers were their Achilles heel.
A classic case of self-sabotage, unfortunately.
Okay.
But as we've discussed, it wasn't just about the number of turnovers.
Right.
It was the timing, the types of turnovers, and the cascading effect they had on the team's momentum and psychology.
And even though this deep dive took us back to a painful moment, I think we've come away with a richer understanding of the game, the players, and the challenges that lie ahead for this Lions team.
Absolutely. And for Lions fans out there, I want to leave you with this thought. This team has potential, they have heart, and they have a coach who's as passionate as they come. This loss stings, yes, but it's not the end of the story.
It's just a chapter. A tough chapter for sure.
Right.
But who knows what the next chapter holds.
Exactly.
Maybe a playoff victory, maybe even a championship.
There you go.
The future is unwritten, and that's what makes being a fan so exciting.
Beautifully said. And until next time, keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and keep believing in the power of this Lions team.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have the ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.